Creepy Encounters. Number 1. Almost got kidnapped from my cousin's backyard. I was around the age of 7 years old and I was playing in my cousin's backyard when a man started to talk to me from the other side of the fence. He told me that he was one of my cousins, which I immediately knew that wasn't true. He told me I should come with him and that he wants to have a lot of fun with me and that he loves me. I ran back into my cousin's house and told my mom and aunt what had just happened. They both looked out the window so they could see this guy, but he was already gone. I then described what the man looked like to them and they told me that I never had a cousin that looked like him. I think they thought I made it up because now when I ask them about it they say, "Oh wait, that actually happened. I thought you just wanted attention." It's so creepy thinking about a grown man who I didn't even know told a 7-year-old me that he loves me. Yuck, I could only imagine what that meant. Number 2. A teacher trying to smash down the door at an alternative school. You know the ones. The ones where there are little to no rules, and the teachers let the children do whatever the flying fuck they want. The ones that are promoted in organic, healthy living stores as being the solution to all your troubled kids. Yeah, most of them either a scam to make cash off desperate adults while letting the child fester alone, or are cesspools of abuse. I've seen both, as a child who finally went to real school at 10 years of age. My mother had homeschooled me for all that time, but had still tried to find alternative schools for me. One in particular was very strange. There was one woman who was in charge of everything, the lunch ladies, and a handful of teachers. One of those teachers was your stereotypical creep. Goatee, smelled bad, followed kids around, and just gave off a skin-crawling sort of vibe. One thing to note is that everyone always wore the same clothes, every single day. His was a ratty, dirty sweater, brownish shoes, and dirty jeans that were a bit scuffed on their extremities. One day, I had gone to the bathroom and had picked what I think was the third stall from the door. To imagine it, you'll have to imagine opening the door and seeing a row of stalls on your right, then sinks on your left. There were about 6 stalls. I'd locked the door immediately because I didn't want someone coming in while I was going to the bathroom. I was about 8, and my innocent outlook on life couldn't have prepared me for the possibility of actually being in danger in such a small and isolated space. The first door opened, and I could see the goatee man's shoes walking through the gap under my door. I thought it was strange that he would go into the female bathroom instead of the male one. He walked forward, skipping the 2 stalls beside me that were also occupied. He stood firmly in front of my door for a second, trying to undo the lock. He then started screaming at me to get the fuck out of there and to open the fucking door or I'm going to be in trouble. What was wrong with me that I couldn't open the motherfucking door for him? I told him the stall was occupied, in a very frightened tone because he sounded very, very angry. His response was to throw himself at the door, all while swearing and yelling at me. He Sparta-kicked it, smashed it with his fists, and tried to jiggle the simple turning mechanism of the lock loose. After about 10 minutes of abject horror and praying for the plastic door to hold, he walked out at the sound of the bell. No further explanation as to why he tried to break into my stall for 10 fucking minutes. When I told the teachers, they all asked him and he said that I was just a very creative and imaginative child. My classmates were no help, as the same thing could be said about them. I had to go on a trip to the playground with him on another occasion, and I'm pretty sure I heard him smell, because he snorted it like it was some sort of drug, my long hair when I was on the swing. A lot of people did stuff like that though, so it didn't really bother me as much as it should have now that I have my hair cut short and out of my eyes. I eventually left after the headmistress clawed my hands in punishment and drew blood, which actually happened on 2 separate occasions, in 2 separate schools, with 2 separate headmistresses. Moral of the story, teach your kids to lock the bathroom door. Number 3. First encounter with gun threats. This happened about a year ago. I was living in Barrio Logan in San Diego at the time. My place was the side entrance of a duplex and the house was right next to a park. One night at around 11 p.m. I was playing Call of Duty. I had my front door open and the screen door locked to help cool down the house. As I was playing with friends, I heard screaming outside, but thought it was just my game. I then heard it again followed by a female scream. My friends over my headset pointed it out and asked me what was going on in my house. I replied to them that I thought that was my game. Nothing is happening in my home. I got up and checked outside. Right across the street, there was a man shoving a woman around the street and punched her while she was screaming. She pulls out her phone and he grabbed it and threw it across the road at my fence. He never saw me. He then runs around the corner and she goes the opposite way. I run out and catch her around the corner and try helping her out. She kept walking and blankly stared at me over her shoulder. I asked her if she had somewhere to go and she didn't reply. I asked if she needed help and with that she replied with "go away" in a shaky voice. I was going to turn back to my house when the man whips around the corner and starts screaming at me. He starts telling me that I'm getting into something that I don't need to be in. I got a weird feeling off of that guy. He then puts his hand under his shirt and asks if I'm trying to get shot. I backed off and said, "Hey, I'm sorry. Wasn't trying to get in someone's business. I just saw her crying and asked if she was okay, but I'll let you handle it." I walk past him to go back home and he starts walking behind me. I started sprinting and sprinted all the way around the block, took the back entrance to the alley and went inside. I called the police and 5 minutes later 5 squad cars zoomed by my home. Not sure if they caught the guy or not. Number 4. First time experiencing a creepy guy committing indecent exposure on the freeway. I am still shocked that this happened to me this past Saturday with my mom. Me and my mom were exiting onto a freeway when this man in a pickup truck was being really aggressive towards my mom's car on the freeway. He kept moving closer to my mom's car and driving at the same speed as us. That is when I turned and looked to see who this douchebag was, and he all of a sudden rolled down his window and started touching himself while showing his genitals. I then turned away from him and was in utter shock with what just happened. I couldn't believe what I just witnessed with my mom. I wasn't able to get the guy's plate and get a photo of him because it happened all so fast. He also exited super fast too, so I wouldn't have been able to get the chance to get any evidence. I regret it now because I could have reported it to the police. Has anyone else experienced something similar? Number 5. Missing wallet. My partner and I wanted to get away for a few nights, so we stayed at a motel in a really small beach town. When we arrived to the motel, we dropped our items off, and my partner left their wallet on the bed, along with other random items. We decided to go to the beach. We packed our beach bag and walked to the beach, leaving most of our stuff back in the motel room, including the wallet still on the bed. After a few hours, we returned to the motel room to shower and grab our wallets for dinner. When we entered the room, we realized that my partner's wallet was missing from the bed. We searched everywhere in the room, tearing it upside down, even looking through every pillowcase and the sheets, but the wallet was nowhere to be found. I suggested that maybe we brought the wallet to the beach and forgot somehow, maybe dropped it in the sand, and perhaps we should go back to the beach to retrace our steps. So we did. When we got to the beach, we noticed there was a pickup truck parked in the lot with its lights off. It was pitch dark, so figured nobody was in it. It was nightfall by now, and there were no street lights, so we only had the light of our flashlights as we scoured the beach. We didn't find the missing wallet there. We left to go to a restaurant to get something to eat, using Apple Pay since we didn't have the wallet. After dinner, when we arrived back to the room, there was the same pickup truck in the motel parking lot. Headlights still off, but this time we could see a man inside of it, just staring at us. A little creeped out, we entered the room as quickly as possible. We look at the bed, and my partner's wallet was there, returned to its spot on the bed. We were positive that we hadn't overlooked it before, so naturally we were speechless. We looked back outside for a moment, and the man in the pickup truck raced off. Nothing was missing from the wallet, but we still can't explain this. Number 6. A weird lady pinched me at the pet farm. When I was in single digits, there was a mini zoo in my area that was a site of total chaos. There was a farm animal area, some turtle tanks, frog tanks, horses, camel rides, elephants, and a monkey barn. This was the early 1980s, and this place was not up to modern standards of animal rights. It was straight up abusive and fucked. Probably the craziest, most abusive thing they had there was a gigantic sand pit full of Galapagos tortoises. If you were below a certain height and weight, they'd let you go in the sand pit and ride the tortoises. Those poor beleaguered ancient beasts, so tolerant of us, toddlers crawling all about, making sand castles, having a great time in that filthy sand pit as the turtles cruised around slowly. Absolute madness, but I digress. There was a big barn full of baby animals, like literally, a cubicle full of baby bunnies, a cubicle full of chicks, a cubicle full of baby pigs, etc. Each area had babies in it and you could feed them, but you were not supposed to lean into the crates and touch the babies. There was literally one employee for this area and they were often gone. We loved that shit. As soon as the employee was gone, I would absolutely fucking ignore the rules and try to get near a duckling and kiss it. I must have been about 8 and I decided I was gonna kiss a baby bunny. I leaned over the plywood barrier and was about to caress one when out of nowhere this pale foreign woman appeared. She was made up heavily and with her long, pointed pink nails she seized and pinched my fat forearms and worked the nails in, like clawed at me, with this absolute fire in her eyes. Her hair was permed, and in an 80s poodle, black and shiny, and her neon pink sort of hot-colored nails dug into my fat. Red half-moons appeared under her nails, and as she sank them and I pulled away, scratching angry lines down my arm. Terror filled me and I ran out of the baby animal barn and never pulled a fast one in there again. So fucking weird. Thank you for watching and listening to this video. If you would, go ahead and give that like button a smack and the subscribe button a smash for more videos. Smack and smash. See ya.